Okay, so this is a video tutorial which accompanies the first OnShape tutorial that I've put up on Google Classroom, the beginner tutorial. We also went through this in class, however, I thought it might just be better to have a video reference file, so if I went through everything, or if I went through everything on a video, you could easily go back and refer to it. So let's just bring up that PowerPoint here. Again, the first initial steps are to create an account, which I've gone over, and we're going to get started with just having a closer look at your workspace and becoming familiar with that. So you go to onshape.com, select and click on the sign in and enter the password that you specified when you created an account. This is your file space or file workspace, file directory area. You can see all of the files that I've been working on, and the first thing really that you need to do when you create a new account, and this will save you a lot of headache later on, is to click on your name, your profile kind of avatar shape, top right hand corner, and go to my account, select on the preferences link. And because OnShape is an American company, it usually has, it will have all of your units set to imperial format. So in inches, pounds, I think degrees, it will already be at degree. Select the millimeter tool, degree and kilogram, which are the metric format that we are using in this country. Then click on Save Units, and then click on OnShape, and it returns you back to your file profile screen. Now, once you're here, I want you to click on the Create and then Document, and I'm just going to give this the name of Tutorial File or Files. You just wait for that to load up. This is your 3D environment workspace. So let me just go through a few things which I didn't actually have on the PowerPoint. Your right mouse button, so if you keep the right mouse button pressed and you rotate it and move it around, you can orbit or rotate in this 3D environment. If you have a wheel mouse, so that's the kind of middle wheel button, and you scroll that in, it zooms in. You scroll it out or zoom down, it scrolls out or zooms out. And then if you click that middle mouse button and move around, hold it down while you move the mouse around, you pan your work environment. So there's a bit of that. Let's get on to creating our first model. So I've asked you to create just a rectangular cuboid. Before we do that, just a few basics about this piece of software. Whenever you're going to create a 3D model, you need a 2D shape or profile first. So you will see you have a variety of 3D tools on this top menu toolbar. We're going to focus on the sketch tool. So if we click on sketch, something happens, it prompts us to now select a sketch plane. We now need to select one of these planes. So these are our 3 dimensions, our 3 planes. We have a front plane, a right plane, and a top plane. I'm going to select the top plane and then rotate that around. And now you'll notice that our menu has changed, the tools have changed, because we are now in a sketch environment. I'm now going to select the rectangle tool, click once to start the rectangle tool, and click again, so just drag it out. We now have a rectangular sketch. This is really important, and this can be the cause of frustration for many users to OnShape initially, is that they now want to go to the extrude tool. You need to select the green tick. That tells the software that you've finished all of your sketching and you're now happy to come out of the 2D sketch environment and enter the 3D environment. So if I click on this, you'll notice that the tools at the top have changed. I rotate this around, I can see I've got that sketch, and now to turn it into a 3D object, I click on the extrude tool, so select that, select my 2D profile shape, which turns orange or yellow, and now I can drag up however high I want that. I do have a context menu here. We're going to go into that in a bit more detail a bit later, but I can drag this up how, and just completely manually. If I want to be a bit more accurate, I could enter a depth here, so select or type in 50 and press enter, or I could do it manually and that changes accordingly. Again, just like before, click on the green tick to let the software know that you're happy with that, and you've now created your first 3D model. So well done for following along with that. I would like you to now attempt the next challenge, which is using the same techniques, can you create a 3D cylinder and a 3D triangle? Have a go now. Right, so hopefully you were able to use the same technique, so sketch, select a plane, draw out the shape, and then extrude that out. I'm going to go through that just really quickly. We're going to create a 3D model of a cylinder first. So again, click on the sketch tool, click on my top plane, click on my circle tool, which is here, and then click once for the center of the circle to start the sketch, and then click again to end my sketch. That is my circle now that I have. Click on the green tick, extrude, select that up. Again, we're not too fussed about the particular height, just drag that up, click on the green tick. We've now got that. I'm going to do something slightly different on this particular triangular prism. I'm going to select this right plane. So again, click on the sketch just to show you what happens if you don't want to sketch on the top plane. So if I click on this right plane, I'm going to use my line tool, and I'm going to click once to start that tool, click again to end it and start my next line, and then click again. Now we want this as a triangle, so you need to make sure that that actually connects, and it will snap to it and it automatically ends that line tool. I want to show you what happens if we don't successfully close the gap or the sketch. So in this case now I've made a triangle. Well, it's an attempt at a triangle, but these two do not close or connect. As a result, you've got a gap. So if you were to try to now turn this into a 3D tool, you would be faced with a error message where the software is then saying, we can't make this 3D model, we can't extrude that because it contains gaps or breaks. So I'm just going to highlight each one of those and just press delete. And now we've got a 2D sketch of a triangle. I'm going to click on the green tick and click on the extrude tool, select that, and again the only difference is it's now being extruded in this direction. So you've now successfully created a range of shapes. It'd be quite interesting to see if you could use the line tool or various number of these sketch tools here to create a very strange or unique or creative looking model. The next challenge is to create a rectangular cuboid of width 75, length 50, and then a height of 25. So I'm going to let you have a go at that. Right, so I'm hoping that you have successfully created the rectangular cuboid model with those dimensions. If you haven't, you can just watch what I do next, because it does use some tools that I've not gone over yet, but maybe some of you would have picked up on how to set specific dimensions. So this is looking quite cluttered, my 3D environment, so I'm just going to drag and select all of those, and I just select or click on delete. That doesn't actually get rid of my sketches. If I would like to get rid of my sketches, if you go over to your left, this is called your history tree, where it branches off, so hence why it's called a tree of your history of your models. So I'm now going to select sketch 1, sketch 2, and sketch 3, select delete, and we're now at a blank canvas again. We're going to now start off with creating a rectangular cuboid of those particular sketches. So first off, select the sketch tool, click on the top plane. Now I'm just going to go over something here which I do, for me, I do find it quite difficult when you are creating very accurate sketches, so specific dimensions for sketches, and doing it in this very skewed 3D environment. When I do all of my 2D sketching, I would prefer that the view that I have is as close on or as close to 2D. Now you can do this, or you can attempt to do this using the right mouse button method, but you won't get a perfect technique. So I'm just going to introduce you to the view cube. At the moment, I'm not sure if you've seen, but as I rotate my 3D environment around, I have this cube in the top right hand corner, and this rotates around with it. Now there's an advantage to this, which is I can now select a face, so I'm going to select the top face, and it automatically zooms and goes to that angle or perspective. I can now zoom out, I can pan around using my middle click or wheel button, and again I can come out of this by using the right mouse button and rotating around. You can do this for each corner, each face. You can rotate it around using these arrows. It's quite a handy tool. So let's get back to our top plane sketch. Click on top plane, click on our rectangle. I'm going to just click on that origin point. Now there's two ways to set dimensions. I'm going to show you the first one on this rectangular cuboid. So I click once, click again. Now have you noticed that this, I've now got dimensions, and whichever one that I hover over, it allows me to now enter the number. So this one, it would, if I started to type in a number, it would dictate the length. So we know that this needs to be 50. So with my arrow or crosshair over that, hovering over that, I'm now going to type in 50 and press enter. And the minute I press enter, it automatically jumps to the next field, which is the width. That needs to be 75. Press enter. We've now got a fully constrained or dimensioned rectangle. I'm happy with that sketch. It follows the dimensions as specified in our tutorial. I'm now going to click on the green tick, and by now you should know how to select the sketch and turn it into a 3D model. I click on the extrude tool. The context menu is set appropriately for now, the default settings. I'm going to click on this now, and I can drag this up. However, the height or the depth needs to be 25 millimeters. I'm going to go into the box, type in 25, press enter, and then green tick. So what I'd like you to do now is attempt the next challenge, which is the cylindrical prism with a radius of 10 millimeters and height 50, and the triangular prism which has an equilateral triangle as the shape profile. I'd like you to type in 20, or get each of the lengths to 20 and then the height to 35. So have a go on that now. Right, so hopefully you have made those additional models, the cylindrical prism and the triangular prism. We're going to go through that as well now very quickly. Again, select the sketch tool, select my top plane, use my view cube so I'm looking at it dead on, click on the circle tool and click once and then click again. Now this is where a lot of students make this mistake. They think, oh right, radius needs to be 10. I'm now going to type in 10 because I've got the field there, it's allowing me to enter it. I type in 10, press enter. However, you may have noticed this little symbol. That symbol is the diameter of the circle. Now what you want is for the radius to be 10 millimeters, whereas you've set the diameter to 10. If you've made that mistake, rather than selecting the undo tool or selecting all of this and deleting it, you can now go into the dimension tool, which is found here, or you can type D into your keyboard and it will select the dimension tool. This allows us to do one of two things. The first thing it allows you to do is double click on an existing dimension and edit it. So because the radius is 10, the diameter is double the radius, so I'm going to enter the correct value for the diameter, which is 20. So again, the radius needs to be 10, but we know that the diameter of a circle is double the radius. So I've entered that now as 20. So that's the first thing that the dimension tool allows us to do. Edit an existing dimension. Once we're happy with that, we can click on the green tick, click on the extrude tool, just double check the height, which is going to be 50, click on the profile shape, 50, enter, green tick, we're happy with that. Now I'm going to show you the second function of the dimension tool now when we're creating this triangular prism. So I'm going to click the sketch tool, select my top plane again, top view, again easier to work with, select my line tool. Now because we're making an equilateral triangle, we want to make this slightly easier for ourselves. So I'm going to click once here, and I'm not sure if you've noticed, when I drag along or move my mouse cursor, if I hover over a slightly horizontal angle, it snaps to that and I get this straight line symbol to the bottom right of my target, or my kind of icon, mouse cursor, crosshair, whatever you want to call it. This will make it easier for me to set as the base of my equilateral triangle. It also works going vertically up, so that's at 90 degrees. I don't think it works at any other, it doesn't snap to any other angle. So we're going to go across. It doesn't matter that it's not 20, we're just going to click again, and we're just going to roughly make our triangle. Click again, and then click again to close my triangle. Now we're going to select the dimension tool, and we're going to select each of our faces of our triangle. So you click once and then you drag it out and then you click again. Now it really is as simple as typing in 20 into each of these entries, and then with the last 20 that you enter, this should now be an equilateral triangle. You should know mathematically by now a triangle with 3 equal sides will ensure that it is an equilateral triangle and that each of the angles will be 60. I'm just going to quickly show you how you can use a dimension tool to double check or to dimension angles. So you know now how to dimension a line or a length, but now if I want to dimension an angle, I click on one edge or one line, and then I click on a second line, and it changes from a linear dimension to now an angular one. Click enter, so I know that angle is 60. Do the same for this angle, 60. And it really isn't a case of us now editing this angle, it's just making sure they are at 60. So I'm happy with that. Click on the green tick, click on the extrude, click on my profile shape, check the height, which is 35, type in 35, click on the green tick. Well done. You've now, if you were able to follow that, you've learnt a range of different tools, and you can now create some basic models using specific dimensions. My next tutorial that I'm going to put up is following the next tutorial, the second one, which is the slightly more complex, where I raise the difficulty level. But however, if you want to now attempt trying to create your model using a model of one of your designs, your shapes, you can follow through that same dimension, and it just gives you an idea. It's just about identifying a profile shape for your design.